Ladies and gentlemen, K Kim here. Welcome to the daily update. Hope you guys had a good weekend over the Father's Day weekend. Market is up a little bit here, about 0.6% on the S&P. And so let's kind of dive in here and trying to dissect this thing and trying to figure out what we can expect going into tomorrow. So you can see here, let's see, so this is the first hour, right? So that's the first hour, second hour, third hour, fourth hour, fifth hour, sixth hour. So that's today's trading sessions there that you can see. So we slightly gapped down. So you can see that's where it closed on Friday, and then that's where it opened. So we slightly gapped down, and then it did come down, retest about 306.74. You can see right there the low of the day was 306.75, and that's the level that we found some support on Friday. The last hour, not last hour, but the fifth hour of the day trading. That's where we found support. And then today, this morning, first hour of trading, we came back down to that level and we found support again. And remember, I gave you this level here, the Fibonacci level. You can see through it, 308 and 306. I have not changed this level since we talked about it last week. And so, because obviously, this is important level right here, right? That's the peak where we saw a big gap up, and we've been pretty much moving sideways, lagging lower ever since. So it's June 16th, about what? About a week or so, we've been just pretty much moving sideways there and, turning lower a little bit there. And obviously this level, this was back in June 15th. We saw a big downturn, and then that was a level where we met with my long-term moving average, and we saw that move. So we've been pretty much grinding in this vicinity. And measuring from here to there, my Fibonacci level gave you the first level of Fib is 308, and then the second level is 306. And it seems like that's the level we're holding. And obviously, 308, 306 is kind of an important level, as you can see here, right? And we've been talking about this throughout last week. So basically, this is a level, that's a congestion zone here. You can see that's a level where we saw a big gap up on June 12th, and that's the level where we found resistance. And that's the level where you see that my midterm moving average, my blue dotted moving average, and that's the level where my midterm moving average is hovering around, right? This is a level you can see on this day back in June 15th. We saw that price stalled there a little bit, right? We were not able to get above 308, and then obviously next day we gapped up. And then on June 16th, when we did see a big gap up on the second hour, this thing plunged fast, very, very fast. Where did it come down to? 308, 308, right? So you can see that 308, 308, 308, 308. Got back up, hung around a little bit, and then we started fizzling, came down, fizzling, got up, came down, fizzling, and then slightly climbing higher. But we're still kind of in this vicinity where, in this trend where, in this fashion where market is still grinding. We're really not seeing any kind of a big move to the upside or downside. But keep in mind, we are dealing with overall bullish sentiment, looking at things in the longer term. So when you're dealing with the longer term bullish sentiment and you let bulls hang around, it favors the buyers, as far as the probability is concerned. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that bears been making sure that short-term downtrend that we're seeing right now is still going on here. Because you can see a couple times bulls trying to get it up, bulls trying to get it up, bulls trying to get it up. Bulls were not successful looking in the short term. So we do see the price action staying above my short-term moving average and my mid-term moving average. Price did find support at my Fibonacci levels there. My first level, my second level, you can see right here. right? And at the same time, you can see now, I see that my oscillator is now crossing back up. I'm gonna come back to the oscillator. We're gonna examine a couple things, going back to the history, and we're gonna kind of figure out the track record of what happened when oscillator goes all the way up and then pull back, but fails to come all the way back down to the oversold level. Instead, we kind of stop short here, right? We're not, because usually oscillators tends to come down to the oversold level. But when you see oscillator kind of stopping in the middle, it's saying something. So I'm gonna come back to it and explain to you guys what it's saying. But for now, so the oscillator, we got the bullish cross on the oscillator. We are staying above my midterm and short-term moving averages. We held that pivotal level there, right? That's where my Fibonacci is hanging around. That's where the moving average is hanging around. Pretty much that's a midpoint of from here to there, right? The midpoint of this move is here, right? So that's the important level. So that's what Fibonacci is conveying to us, that this is the important level. If the bulls want to continue its momentum, 306 has to be protected. So we have certain bullish sentiment in the short term because we're holding above this level. We're above my short-term, mid-term moving averages, and we just saw bullish cross on my oscillator. But we are, and we've been talking about this weekend. We talked about all throughout last week. We're in a little bit different situation though, because of this. That's the problem. As soon as when this gap was open back in what, June 11th, about a week ago, about 10 days ago, right? We talked about how the longer this island gap stays open, the more hectic it's gonna be for the buyers, right? Because of this piece of information, because of this piece of data, because of this down gap, and this was an island down gap, because that gap is still open, I still leaning towards giving it neutral in the short term. Even though we are seeing bullish cross on the oscillator, we're seeing price, as of today, they were barely hanging around, so we can't, because it could be zigzagging, because we already did that. We already zigzagged here, came lower, got back up. It could zigzag, and it could either bring to the downside or it could break out to the upside. That's why I still think, despite the fact that we did see bullish cross, and that bullish cross on that oscillator will give us just a little bit more edge to the buyers. That's for sure. And we're going to talk about it. Just a little bit more edge, just a little bit more probability for the buyers to potentially bring it up. But but as of today, I'm still gonna give it neutral in the short term. Neutral in the more, I think I'm more neutral to bullish. I'm neutral to bullish in the midterm because this is my midterm moving average there, right? So I'm neutral to bullish because for the fact that you can see here, just looking all the way back to March, when you see my midterm moving average started moving sideways, and you can see we're still dealing with, obviously, long-term sentiment is bullish because we got higher lows here. So long-term bullish, neutral in the short term, but I want to say neutral / bullish in the midterm. In the midterm, I would say it would be more neutral to bearish if the price was hanging around at 298 or 300 area. If it was hanging around the vicinity, I would have said midterm neutral to bearish or maybe bearish, right? But now that we're hanging around, and you can see how bulls been just kind of grinding, and the longer you let bulls kind of grind and move sideways too long, they tend to do things, especially when you're in a longer term bullish sentiment. You let bulls hang around too long, they tend to find momentum and somehow, some way bring it up. That's why it's important to understand that we are in a uptrend in the longer term. So midterm, neutral to bullish, neutral / bullish, neutral to bullish. Short term, neutral. Long term, obviously bullish, right? So with that, let's go into the oscillator, and I want to find out what this means. Because, well, what happened? Usually the oscillators like to come. That's what it calls oscillator. It oscillates back and forth, right? But when you see price not coming all the way back down to bottom of its band, which is the oversold condition or oversold level, that tells you that there is a little bit more bullish sentiment floating around, right? Because basically bears were not even able to bring it all down. And obviously these are not 100%, you know, these signals are not 100%, obviously, because I've seen these, you know, they cross up and then, you know, cross back down. I've seen those happening before, obviously. So all we have is a probability, right? So when you, because you can see even back here, just going all the way from March, once they cross, so we have to understand, yes, it could fail, but once it crosses, do they usually go all the way back to overbought level, right? So just looking at last 4 months, 3 months, March, April, May, June, right? 3-4 months. When you see a cross, here, 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 and here, and some of these guys too, and this guy right here. So when you see a cross like that, did it fail? No, it actually gotten up back to the overbought level, Even these levels, we did get back to that, at least that line. You see that line? That's where it got back up to. Even look at this guy, it got all the way up here. So got up all the way back to overbought level, got up all the way back to overbought level, got up all the way back to overbought level, got up all the way back to overbought level, got up. And we talked about this back in June 11. When I saw that bullish cross, that seems to be bullish. It has a bullish connotation. It has a bullish reversal type of properties. And also at the same time, we talked about my long-term moving averages, or that long-term moving average, that pink moving average, showing us that's a strong support and bears are tight. We talked about that, right? Back in June 11. So you can see every single time, going all the way back to March, late March, when my oscillator flipped to the upside, every single time we did go back up, at least retest that blue, like that gray dotted line. Is that true? Yes. And you can say, okay, this time is going to be different, okay? How do you know? How do you know? You're only saying that because you're probably not sure and you know what I mean? Your opinion is biased. And I'm trying to give you unbiased analysis that could benefit both bulls and bears. You hear me saying that benefit of the Dow could go to the bears. Sellers back here, right? That's why when we saw a gap up, this thing came back down. But anyhow, obviously anything can happen in the market. We can't just randomly say this is bullish and bearish. We have to look at what happened in the past and then get a good gauge of what is a high probability scenario here. That's what I'm getting at. Obviously, man, this thing could do anything. Maybe some weird, some negative, something happens overnight, some news comes out, boom, gap down. Yes, of course, of course. But if you thought that, well, that bullish cross, okay, that doesn't mean anything. If you said that here, 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 you know what I mean? You've been wrong every single time. Every single time. That bullish cross doesn't mean a thing. You know what I'm saying? So this time, maybe not. But at this point, hold on a second, guys. At this point, it means something. This means something. My sentiment See, I'm still neutral to bullish in the midterm, neutral in the short term, but this means something. So going forward, going into tomorrow, this week, this oscillator is going to be very important, right? So I'll update you guys. If you don't want to wait until the video comes out, each night, you can follow me at 2K Kim. You'll see my handle there, either on Stock Twitch and on Twitter. I'll give you guys an update on my oscillator and the price action, including my moving averages and things like that. You will see this chart, and I'll tweet that out. Usually during the midday, but so you can follow me at 2K Kim to get that update tomorrow. So I think the higher this thing starts to advance, the better it's gonna be. And once it starts to get its momentum, you're gonna see the price going higher. And also what I realize is I kind of see this is what I call oscillator resistance. This is what I call oscillator resistance. It actually works out very well. You can see right here. You see that? That's what I call oscillator resistance. It does work out pretty well. You can see it goes up, it doesn't go all the way back up. So this thing going back up here to about 70, 74, 75 level, it has, as of today, and what this oscillator is saying, if we do see a little bit of pop tomorrow early morning, that could be a jump start for this oscillator to start getting up, and you could see price trying to get up and break above this resistance, trying to at least go on and challenge this gap area at 315. So you can see, I think as of today, we're at a kind of that pivotal level where we could either see big bullish move to the upside or potentially downside move, because things are getting hectic because of this island gap reversal, and we got that kind of a short-term downtrend resistance while we have long-term trend is bullish. At the same time, we have the oscillator just crossed, and every single time when my oscillator crossed since late March, that thing always got back up to at least to that level, about 75 level there on the oscillator, right? So I think the price section, the overall price section, gives us just a little bit more bullish connotation. Does that make sense? But bulls needs more. Bulls needs to see if they can materialize this. So this is a great look. There are a few times where it looked like it was gonna cross and then it failed. There are a few times there because at some point this actually looked like they were meeting, and then it got separated. It looked like they were meeting and got separated. But finally today they crossed back up. So let's come back tomorrow. We'll re-examine what had happened. Tomorrow I'll make sure to tweet things out and give you guys an update on this oscillator, also the price section, right? Also give you guys an update on the oscillator and the price section, see what happens, and then give you, see what happens. The market is in this area. Are we above these moving averages, or are we down? Obviously, there's a strong support at 306, 308. Bears need to bring it down below that, but we still got long-term moving average hovering around at 302. So let's come back tomorrow, and I think we'll get a little bit better idea where the market is headed. If we do see this oscillator start to rise like this tomorrow, and we start to close above this downtrend resistance like that tomorrow, very good chance bull's gonna go up and fill this gap. Bull's gonna go up and fill this gap. Once that gap gets filled, it's going to act as resistance. We will see a pullback, but at that time, bears have no more weapon against the buyers. Because once this gap gets filled, at that time buyers will be cultivating higher highs. So we will see a pullback, short-term pullback, potentially maybe coming down to this here, prior resistance, potential new support, and then go back up to potentially fill that gap. But we'll know for more tomorrow after close. So I'll come back to you guys tomorrow night. We'll re-examine, we'll follow up, go from there, right? you guys enjoy your evening and good luck trading tomorrow.